apologize, everybody. Sometimes we're a little bit late. It's usually me. I got to figure out where my glasses are, and then I figured out they're right there on my face. So, good morning, David. I hope you
You
got a
know,
good cup of coffee.
I do. You know the problem with losing your glasses? If you can't
Tell me.
see, if you can't see, it's hard to see where they're at, right? I had this problem this morning too. So,
What's the worst way you've broken your glasses?
um, well, normally it's subtle and they get like a crack and I don't notice until I put it on and I feel them flex weird. It's like, huh? And then they have like this big old break like right here. Or the one time, the one time I was hiking and I tripped and fell, and instead of my face hit my eye taking the rock, the glass is dead. And I mean, it was like, they're wiped out. It was done, you know. But I'm glad I had the glasses on because that could have been a lot worse. That rock was very pointy.
I've had the screw completely disappear. I've had a makeshift real quick. Somebody in the mall put a longer screw in my frames for me. I was having to go to work, just across the parking lot to the ice cream shop, sandwich shop I worked at. They had put a nut on the top of it right there, and I didn't realize it, but they ended up eventually it cracked the rail, so it wouldn't even stay together. That was horrible. I found that out to be a problem later. And I have, oh my gosh, they've broken at the wrong moments in life for me. And yeah, it's just not fun. So if you wear glasses, folks, or if you know anybody and you've seen or been around when they've broken their glasses, yeah, it's a very humbling, crippling. I think that's one of my biggest fears, David, is to be blind, completely blind. It's not that I don't trust people. It's just very unnerving not to be able to see. I think I could lose an arm. I don't want to lose an arm or a leg, or lose my hearing, but to lose my sight, I think that's one of the worst things. That's one of my nightmares. So I have broken my glasses probably several different ways, but the last time I broke my glasses was probably the most embarrassing and dumb and worst way possible. I had put them down on the sofa next to me, and I stood up for a reason. My brother had actually honestly just given me a jersey, and I think it's the George Kittle jersey I have, and I took them off and put them on the side, and I put the jersey down, and put the glasses down on the couch, and when I put my butt back down on the couch after putting the jersey on, I felt my glasses just crunch. It's what's happening when it happens. If you've ever smashed a soda can, you know what that feeling is. Well, yeah, to feel your glasses flex like that and be like, oh my gosh. So yes, seeing is believing to me, and I don't know about you, David, but if I see it, I typically believe it. Well, we got a lot of people here today in the chat. A lot of great people as always. We have Miss Dawn Dotson, David Corona, Niner Tiger, Bebop Jones, Miss Tony Culp. Thank you everyone for coming. So David, your draft shows have been doing really well. Really, really well. I think it's something that people like to listen to because it's a puzzle. It can go together several different ways. In the end, it's going to go together only one way because there's only one choice, right? Each team has their choice at that position at that moment. And we can mix it up all we want and smash them together. But at the end of the day, we don't know what their big board looks like, or theirs, or theirs, or theirs. But we can be, what do you want to call them? Monday morning quarterbacks, Thursday draft analyst, Friday draft analyst, a Saturday super fan. how do we describe this, David? We're going to do our best opinions, analytic anticipations. Our delivery is going to be right there, right? We are going to say this is why, and we are going to suggest this person and this person, and we've done it for about 2 months. And people want to come in and see, hey, why is this person fitting in, and how many times is this person coming back? Because there is a thing about rhythm and pattern. So some of the players that we've taken them multiple times because they keep falling to us. It's a little weird, even though that AI computer and stuff, people, all know what it's doing. It does to a degree. It really, truly does. So last night when we traded Brandon Ayuk, they were expecting that because that's been thrown out there several times. But when we tried to trade CMC or Mitchell, they didn't know what to do. So, David, how are you feeling about the draft show, and how are you feeling about the upcoming draft this Thursday?
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of a grind being live for that long. I've been live. The longest I've been live, I think, is 7 hours. And it was pretty grueling. I'm not going to lie. And a lot of people are like, "You're just sitting there." I'm not a guy that just sits there very well. So, I got to be up and moving. But it ought to be incredibly interesting because of just the fact we don't know the big board. We don't know. We're not inside the 49ers facility, all Mission Impossible style, hanging down from the ceiling, taking pictures of the wall that they have writing on, or, hacking into the tablet that they have because we don't even know how they do it. The old school way was they had like a wipey board, right, and a dry erase marker, and they had everything written on the wall in the war room, right? That's the old school way. Now, how like the playbook and everything, it's on a tablet now, right? So could that be what you know how the Niners do it? Yeah, it really could be. They could just bring it up on the screen, their big board, and be doing it all computer like. But either way, we don't know the big board. That's the thing here. We know what they've been. We know who they've talked to, though, right? Like visits at the combine, etc. Other than the 9 players who's incognito because no one actually there's nothing out there about it. The Niners kept it quiet. The player kept it quiet. Maybe that's because those 9 players really want to be 49ers, right? And you never know what's going to happen. But the direction we went last night is what I saw. The Niners talking to a lot of offensive linemen, specifically tackles. They talked to actually a plethora of tackles, folks. And then it was a mix of other positions. They've talked to like Sony Vaki from Utah, the safety. They've talked / running back. They've talked to him a few times. So when it comes down to it, is genuine interest there. And probably, I think that has to do with versatility. He can be our special teams guy, right? One of our special teams aces. And he could be the second kick returner back there or punt returner, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I took, last night when we took Worthy, the fastest guy in the draft, the 4.21 guy.
Xavier.
No, that's not realistic because the Raiders are probably going to take him really early.
If the Raiders don't take a quarterback, they're going to take Xavier Worthy if he's there. It's kind of their thing. They take the fastest guy. They always take the fastest guy. And Raiders need as much help as they can, but when they have talent and they let it go, I don't know what they're doing over there in Las Vegas now. David, who's your draft crush? Who is your guy? If I don't want you to stand up and pound the table for anybody, but if you could say, pull the trigger, make the call, Who are you wanting the Niners to take? Round one.
Round one, I'm actually really digging on J.C. Latham. That would be my draft crush. But will he fall at 31? It's unrealistic. I don't think he will.
But if he's there, that's who you want.
If he's there, yes. It's like, don't even use the clock. Just call it in. 6'6", 335, runs a 4.8, 540. The guy he's incredibly athletic. He's a mountain. There is no edge in the league that could go right through him. That's not going to happen. They're going to have to work for it.
Now,
right?
Can he play right tackle and left tackle, or is he just primarily a left tackle?
He's been primarily a left tackle, and we both know when it comes to offensive linemen, some guys you can switch around, some guys don't do it very well.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I mean, if the Niners are looking for solely a right tackle, that Talise Fuaga guy has done nothing but right tackle, and I wouldn't mind picking him too. Just depends on Trent Taylor. Is he going to be with us for a couple more seasons? He's got that ankle. You remember a few years ago, he injured that and he missed the Rams game. You remember that?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I've heard reports that there's a little bit of damage there and it kind of lingers, and the Niners have just been managing it, to keep him on the field. And that's all you can do about it until he retires. Then, he could probably go get a surgery and lose a whole bunch of weight like Joe Staley did. You see Joe Staley lately?
Yeah. He does the interview for the Niners, the after Niners show. I forget the name of it. Maybe if somebody in the chat knows it, they can drop it. But yeah, I am very, very excited about that as well. So if you could take somebody at second and we get your guy at J.C. Latham, who would you like to take at second? And I'm picking your brain. We got 11 picks, so I can maybe go through fast, or we'll stop at a certain point. But you have a kind of like a vision, and I want the people here to hear your vision. So you would like to take offensive lineman in the first pick. Now, if you're the Niners, are you going best player available the rest of the draft, or are you trying to set your eyes on people?
Well, when it comes to the 49ers, we like a certain type of player. They have to be a high character, just we like athleticism, right?
Yep. You got to be able to move. You got to be able to do something.
That's exactly it. We plan for the future too, though.
Yeah.
And with the second pick, we do have Floyd for 2 years. So we don't necessarily have to go get an edge rusher right now, because our edge room, Bosa, Floyd, and you got a question mark in Drake Jackson, which it would be nice to see him do something. You got Robert Bill Jr., who looked pretty good in the Super Bowl in the snaps he got. They didn't play him much, but in the snaps he got, he was in that backfield. And then you got Gross Matos, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's my guy. That's who I'm rooting for this year.
And I mean, that group of edges right there is incredibly solid. I don't think we actually need to add to that. And we did re-sign a couple guys we had on the practice squad last year. I think Austin Bryant and who was that Barrett guy? I can never remember his first name, but he's been on our practice squad for years, right?
I think I read something about Bryant yesterday, that he changed his number to 40. So he's on the team right now, and he will be wearing number 40. I did see. I glanced at it really quickly. But I seen that we have a guy we have 2 players that's going to be wearing the same number, but that's tentative. But go ahead, David. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good. And when it comes down to it, I just don't see edges being a high priority. This is a late in the draft depth, see if he makes the team type of guy, like 6th, 7th round. I can see us doing that, right? But the interior of our offensive line, we have Banks scheduled to be a free agent after this year. We have Brendo, who It's
So you're
been
doing
average. He's been average. We could use an upgrade at that spot, especially with a young QB. Getting a young center would be ideal.
so
And
I'm getting
Burford's putting on some meat. He's
hmm
like, trying to make himself bigger, but I think he needs to study film and make sure that he's in the right spot.
I'm getting a little
That's
bit of a vibe from you. Are you going O line again for the second round?
yeah, best guard or center available.
Okay. So if Zinter's there, he's coming.
And that gives us a couple different positions to look at, so we're not necessarily reaching for a player too, right?
Hmm.
Because there's like we've had interest in Zach Zinter from Michigan. You know, we've talked to Jackson Powers, and I don't know if he's going to slip. If he slips to 31, he could be the pick there. And then we could go offensive tackle like that Roger Rosengarten,
Yep.
guy
From
that they
Washington.
looked at with Washington, right?
Yeah.
And truth be told, they've talked to a ton of tackles, down to Cody Wallace from Penn State, who's looking to be a 6th or 7th round draft pick on most boards, right? So they've talked to a wide plethora of offensive tackles this year. So, but yeah, I think
Do
it's
you
going
think
to be
it's too much
best guard
talk?
or center available with that second pick.
Do you think that's too much talk? Do you think they're not focused on one person, or you think they're getting an overall, assessment from a lot of people, or because like sometimes they're locked into one person, but then they go and talk to them, their personality doesn't fit, so then they're stepping to somebody else. Or you think that they're just doing their due diligence, or do you think they're not necessarily sold on anyone?
I think they're doing their due diligence. If they're sold on someone, it will not be leaked out. We're not going to. No one's going to know. They don't want other teams to know that.
So
You
are you
know,
saying after yesterday, folks, if you recognize the date, and you can say now, David, we can say there's no smoke signals here, the air is clear, the Niners aren't going to be leaking anything?
we never do. We never do. Like the report about, and shout out to Chase Senior. A lot of people are saying, "Whoa, what'd you say that about Brandon Ayuk?" It was actually started by the Pittsburgh press, not him. He was just reporting what they said, and they had an actual, like, folks, if you want to look it up, they had a very in-depth report that had a lot of detail in it that makes you think, you know. But the whole Brandon Ayuk trade situation, and his agent saying no, nothing's really coming to fruition there. The report is false. So it is at this time. He's not lying, but his agent is also John Lynch's friend. So he has a couple people he's got to take care of. He's got his guy Brandon Ayuk. He wants to get him paid, and he's got his good friend John Lynch. He doesn't want to make the Niners mad because who knows what's going to happen, right?
Well,
So
I think personally, what comes down to Brandon Ayuk, it's going to come down to who's going to make him feel wanted, right? He knows the Niners need him, the Niners like him, but it doesn't sound like his family's feels very appreciated. And sometimes you do have to tell your family, like, hey, this is my job. I need to take care of my job so I can take care of you guys. You guys aren't making the business decisions. It's me necessarily. I'm the one out there. And it's because of me and what I'm at my attributes to this team is what we're so when you're talking and people are saying, like we've heard his baby's daddy, baby's mama, his mama's I don't know how to say it. I'm so sorry. I have one baby mama, right? That's it, right? Tony, right? So I don't have to worry about anything else, right? But what I'm getting at is she said she's moving with him. Wherever he goes, she's going, and she said something necessarily about in the regards to they're not going to be here much longer. So do you feel that way if the Niners would have won the Super Bowl? Is that the same way you feel? Like, is this a process that's been building up to a point where you're like, okay, it's our time. We're getting the truck. We're getting ready to move. Or is this because of what happened in the Super Bowl? Because again, not to put anybody down or put the player down, and people can disagree with me, but I don't think Brandon Ayuk played the best Super Bowl game of his life. He can definitely go back to the Super Bowl and play a better game. Now, throughout the season, he did have games that was like, hey, that's going to be like a career highlight moment for you. The time where, he had that trip up and still, like there's several times that everybody remembers the Eagle game where he was jumping over the Eagle player. So there's highlights in his career, but this Super Bowl is not that game for him. So, when obviously everybody's upset, we lost the Super Bowl and you come out and your family now is speaking for you. You don't necessarily hear this stuff in other jobs. And when you do, the family members and the person, the employee, they don't it doesn't make the employee and that business relationship of that job healthy. And this isn't a government job. This is a job that, you're getting paid a lot of money, and it's about relationships. Owners don't have to keep you if they don't like you, and they can still keep you if they don't like you. It's about money. So, David, what are you taking for the third? Are you continuing to go O-line, or are you going to jump out and look into a different team of need, a position of need?
Well, when it comes to positions of need, we got all these big contracts coming due, and we have all these free agents coming up. I mentioned Aaron Banks and Jake Brendel, but at this point, you look at the other side of the ball. We have Chavarius Ward, Diamador Lenore, who's been in reports for that he's negotiating an extension with the 49ers. And then Talanoa Hufanga.
Who? Where's he been at?
Yeah, he tore his ACL. And, he's been on the mend. There's hasn't been much news about this. And that's kind of scary, folks. It's kind of scary. Because we haven't heard the good, yeah, he's on track. He's looking good. We haven't heard these reports. So what is going on with Huff? Is he going to be back? Is he going to be the same player? Because after he went out, it hurt us. Because he's the guy in there. He's the guy in there hitting the guy just after one of his teammates just barely missed the tackle. He's the guy cleaning it up and tackling him right there. And he's gone, and now all our missed tackles are being highlighted, and the fan base is seeing what he did, but not necessarily relating it to Hufanga because he's not on the field, right?
But for a second, it's like the Niners when they go to tackle. It's like they get somebody who throws a big hit, right, and stunts the other player real quick, and then you got Hufanga who's coming back, and he's like coming up, and when the guy is dazed, then he's coming in and taking that tackle and making, and it's not always like that, but Hufanga knows the pattern. He knows this is what we do. And when we lost 3 or 4 different players last year before, the season started, Ward and, a couple of other players that know how to play like this. You smack them hard and then he's dazed and stunned, and then somebody else comes in. And we've seen this on multiple times where players, even the defensive edges and Bosa and other players, were going for the tackle, and then they miss the tackle, and they're looking for the person who was supposed to be Mr. Cleanup and Mr. Fix It, and we didn't have him. We did not have him. So Hufanga, rest up. We need you back, and if you're not coming back, then we need to definitely replace you or get your replacement. So, David, is this what you're choosing to do with your third round? Are you replacing or filling the void of Huff?
Yes. Actually, I'm going to be taking a safety, and it's just because the future is uncertain, and we're going to need long term depth at the position. So having a third safety is not going to hurt us.
So with your third safety, can I guess, is this your Vaki
or corner guy? Now you got to go multiple position here because we can't be reaching, right? So safety or corner, best player available, right?
Okay. So if Vaki is there at 3 at 94, would you be taking? Is it Sion Vaki? So
Sion. I, I honestly don't know how to pronounce his first name. Sony is what we've been calling him.
Sony, yeah, yeah. Would you be taking him? Would you
But
be okay with him at pick number 94?
probably not. I think I'd be okay with him at pick 124 and on, but
It does
probably
seem
not
like
94.
it does seem like since we've been doing the drafts, he seems to be there in the later rounds. He does seem to be in the 4s, the 5s. I think you can even get him the 6 if you really push.
Dude, we've took him at 176 so many times, and I honestly don't think he'll be available at that point. So I could see us taking him at the 131 through. The draft last night had us drafting at 133, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at the actual board and see where we're at, because some mock drafts have us going like 133 and 135, and it's like last night might be the most updated board. It had us at 124, 131, and 133, right? So, but I could see it happening in that area, those 3 picks.
All right, so we're going to go safety or corner with our 3rd pick. What are you doing for your 4th pick? You taking a long snapper?
Long snapper? No, we got one under contract. We extended him, so I'm not worried about long snapper or kicker at this point. Or punter. Those are all
So we can
positions, right?
We can scratch that. We can totally scratch that. So 4th, are we taking a wide receiver 4th round? We just signed Trent Taylor back, the man with the golden hands.
Why is so everyone that says, "Oh, this guy's got great hands," okay, why doesn't he get more than 3 catches over the season?
Well, if you remember, Trent was our guy that was our 3rd down specialist. He was that guy that got open, and he was part of the crew. He was like part of the Cabo crew before there was a Cabo crew, and then all of a sudden, I think he had 1 or 2 back hits, and I think he had a back injury, and that's why we let him go. Now he went to another team. I want to say he went to the Dolphins. I might be wrong, but he went to a couple other teams, if I'm correct, and now he's back. He knows how to run the system. He knows how to get open. So if he can find the spaces and the gaps, look out, Jawan. I'm telling you what, he's coming in, and I believe he's going to be wearing number 19.
Wow.
Yep. Debo's number 1. So we have Trent Taylor back, and Trent Taylor will be taking 19 because Jawan's wearing 15. Trent Taylor's old number.
Well, if you think about it, we just lost Ray McLeod, right?
Bye,
so we do need a kick and punt returner. I mean, could Danny Gray step in and do that? I don't know. He returned kicks and punts in college.
Let's be honest.
Why hasn't he?
Let's be honest.
Last year he was injured, right?
Let's be honest. Danny Gray's not making noise. He's not. There's something wrong. They don't talk about Danny Gray. Either he's not getting better, or he's getting worse, or there's an attitude. The injury that happened last year, they could have brought him back onto the team. Maybe he said, "No, I'm good." They're like, "You want to play?" "No, I'm good." "What do you mean you're good?" He's like, "Well, I've been in the locker room. The ice bucket bath is open. I'm good, coach." "What do you mean you're good?" Either he doesn't want to play, or he's not playing or practicing hard enough to get on the field. There's something wrong with Danny Gray. There's definitely something wrong. And for them to have Conley, and for them to have, Ronnie Bell, and now they're signing Trent Taylor and David, do you think Danny Gray will still be on the team this year, or do you think or do you foresee him being on the team next year? Because I tell you what, I think he can be cut this year.
It is a make or break. This is the offseason that is make or break for him. Last year, he started the year hurt. And then when he finally got healthy and was coming back, Kyle actually said a report, well, we don't really have a spot for him on the team. What? The guy
fastest
runs a
guy.
4.340. He
He's the
4.340. He's by far the fastest wide receiver we have, and you don't have a spot for him on the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does say that there's something more going on than what we've heard and what we know. And this is make or break. If he doesn't have a showing and stay healthy and make the team, force them to make a decision on Trent Taylor, type of thing, force them to cut him, then he's not making the team.
So I see somebody like Danny Gray getting traded, or released. I see that I could see him going to the Raiders. I really could. We talk about the Raiders and their speed, or our luck. Danny Gray will go to the Chiefs, the Kansas City Chiefs, right? That's our luck, right? But again, the good point right here, Bell. Maybe Kenny brings up. We did sign Bell last year. He was a special teams guy in college. His dad was a wide receiver. His dad was, coached him up since he's been learning how to play football. He knows how to play. And we've seen a couple of times, you and me were at the Giant game. We seen him, have an alert moment where, the ball hits somebody's helmet, tipped up in the air and he catches it. So that's just being, alert on the football field. Sometimes you don't always have the best play, but when you need it and you make it, it for sure is it's worthy and it's noteworthy. So I do see them keeping Ronnie Bell a little bit longer. Danny Gray, do you like that? Would you trade Danny Gray to the Raiders or the Chiefs?
To the Raiders, yeah. The Chiefs, no.
I don't want to make the Chiefs better, but could you see him going
That's
there?
exactly it. Screw them. I don't want to make them better. So, but the Miami Dolphins, he's been in Kyle's offense, and Mike
That's a good
McDaniels
point.
runs that offense, and they're a track team. He would fit in with the Miami Dolphins.
That's a
right?
good point. Good point. Wow. Miami.
Draft day's coming up, buddy. If we're going to be trading players, right during the draft is the time to do it, to get the draft capital to potentially replace them or get our future needs handled. Because we do have a slew of free agents next year, and I don't think we're going to be retaining many of them.
Wow. Yeah, I don't want to get the Chiefs, but help them get better. I definitely see that being an option. I could also see Danny Gray going to the Eagles. That's sometimes it just doesn't work out for us. Washington,
We just can't cut. Don't cut them. Just don't cut them. Trade them.
Just
Get a 6th, 7th round pick, whatever you can. Just trade them.
Danny Gray to Buffalo because they just got rid of their guy, right? And their guy went. Where did?
Okay, think about the Dolphins factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have running backs, but they have injury concerns at running back, right? They always seem to be rotating a lot of guys. So okay, if you're going to be rotating injured running backs, we could trade you Elijah Mitchell and Danny Gray. What kind of draft compensation you willing to give us? A 5th and 6th? All right, do it. Boom, pull the trigger.
And let's clarify this real quick. Steve, we're not saying that Danny Gray is not good. We're saying there's a problem with him on our team. There's definitely a disconnect. Either he doesn't want to play for the Niners or the Niners don't want to have him play, because there's been moments where he could have, should have, would have, and he hasn't. And that's what we're saying. So now if we have an ability to trade him somewhere, let's trade him. And then, Sully even threw out there the Jets. Trade him to the Jets. That would be a good idea too. I imagine anywhere that Kyle has a fingerprint, even D'Amico in Houston, that would be a good place to trade him if we could get some kind of value out of him. Now, Danny Gray, what do you think we could get out of him, David? What would you want? Would you want just a comp pick, a 4th round, or are you looking for? I don't think we can really ask for too much. I know he's still a rookie and he's a young rookie. So I'm thinking 4th or 5th round, that maybe even a 6. I would take a 6. His jersey number is 6. That makes sense, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying is anywhere from a fifth to a seventh is what we're looking at for Danny Gray because he hasn't proved anything on the field. He still has potential, and he's still under team control for dirt cheap for 2 years. So fifth, and with his speed, he does have decent size. With his speed, I mean, he's got to be worth a fifth, seventh rounder, right? And especially to a team like the Miami Dolphins, he's a cheap asset, and
Yeah.
and they right now have cap issues and do need cheap assets, right?
And they do keep taking our wide receivers, like you said. They took Trent Sherfield. I think
Mm-hmm.
Trent Taylor went to Miami too, if I'm correct. But I might be
Hold
wrong.
on, who is
But
that other guy? Craycraft. Craycraft
yeah,
ended up with the Dolphins too.
so when people hear, if you've ever heard me say it, the Miami 49ers or the 49er, the Miami, there's too many you can go too many different ways with that. But they basically are they're the 49ers in Miami because they keep taking all of our players, our cast offs, or whatever you want to say, our left behinds, or however you want to say it. So, David, when are you taking a wide receiver? We are into the third, the fourth. Yeah, we're into the fourth. Are you taking a wide receiver at all in this draft?
I'm probably taking Luke McCaffrey in the same range I'm taking Sony Vaki in the 124 to 133 or 135. And that is if he's there. He might be the pick at 94 because how we don't know how the board's going to fall. But
Yeah.
either way, we need a good slot receiver. He's 4.41 speed. He's not a burner, but he's not slow. Right? He can run routes, and he's got good hands. So that equals a slot receiver. And when it comes to blocking, his brother can teach him, and his dad. They can teach him how to block. So future
Yeah.
Juwan Jennings replacement slot receiver is what I see there.
Wow. Having two McCaffreys on the field at the same time. Wow. That's crazy. It really, truly is. So, David, would you take a linebacker at all in this draft? We took a couple linebackers last year, but it didn't seem like they were ready. Are you looking at a linebacker this year?
A linebacker, I believe we will take one. I don't think it's going to be early, but I'm honestly thinking like that 176 through 215, those three picks right there. I could see us taking a linebacker in that area. I could also see us like in the 124 to 133. I think we're going to be taking an interior defensive lineman at that point.
Yeah. Okay. Now, with us having the 1 year, 2 year deals and having a lot of free agents next year, do you anticipate us doing that again next year? Signing a bunch of guys to 1 year deals, or are we trying
2 year
to fill
deals,
the
1 year
voids?
deal.
Yeah, or are we
I
trying
think
to
you
use
can
this
see
year
us
out?
doing this. We could probably be doing this every year because we're a good football team. So the good players that aren't getting big multi-year offers are going to want to come here, prove themselves on this team, show the league what they can do in the playoffs and up their value, right? So I believe we're going to be seeing this, for the near future, as long as we're competitive, which if we have a good quarterback for long term, Brock Purdy, then we really could be competitive.
All right. So I guess we kind of talked about McCaffrey. He will be our legacy pick, if you want to say it. And we talked about linebacker. That's a position of need. Defensive end or interior defensive lineman. Are you looking at a running back?
Always looking at a running back, buddy. This is like, but we're not in the third round, so I don't know. It's kind of.
So running back and tight end. I know a lot of people are thinking about tight end, and a lot of people they scream just like you were saying. They don't want a running back in the third round. It's just a wasted pick. And in a sense, it is. And we do have a couple running backs we're not currently using right now. When you have somebody like CMC who will not come off the field at all, it's really, really hard. So if Frank Gore Jr. is there when we're around, are you listening to the noise and you're selecting Frank Gore Jr., or are you going to set Santa Clara on fire?
I honestly think they like setting the Niner Empire on fire. It gets a lot of attention. And kind of it's not exactly the right thing to do, though. Let's be honest, right? But at this point, I could see us taking a running back. I don't know if it's going to be Frank Gore Jr., but I would love to see him on the Niners because he's a change of pace, you know, type of running back. He's got speed. And he's not the biggest guy in the world, but you remember back in the day, we had Mostert, was it Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida, you know, and we had quite the three-headed attack going on. And I would love to see CMC, still get the carries and still get production, but I don't want to see him get beat up over the course of the season. We're going to need that guy, late in the playoffs. So let's get a guy like Jordan Mason in there who is a bruiser. And then you get your change of pace guy, Frank Gore Jr., to come in. And we again have that three-headed monster with the offensive player of the year in 2023 also as one of these three. Right? But, and that's again the probably 211, 215, 251. It would be that area that we take him. Unless the Niners, trade up, and you never know what's going to happen. Trading Elijah Mitchell for a draft pick, you really never know. There was that report. I'm not sure if you remember, but they were saying that Elijah Mitchell, Ambry Thomas, and Danny Gray were all on the trade block. And if they're getting traded, it's probably going to happen by draft day. If not right after draft day, so we can recoup a fifth rounder that we lost. Shout out to our accountant for missing something. But it's ideal to do all your trades by draft day. That way you have draft capital and you can, get a player, make a trade with another team for a player that you need. We've seen the Niners do that, like Trent Williams, right? Remember that trade? It happened on draft day, didn't it?
The Trent Williams trade? I think it did. I think everybody was freaking out what we were going to do, and then we made a move on, I think, draft day. It's surprising that we were actually able to make a move with Washington too. Washington, I think, was holding us up for a long time with him because the whole Kyle Shanahan thing. So I don't remember how everything went down, but I don't know, David. Trent Williams, he says he wants to play a couple more years. You would imagine he does, but he could be saying the right things. Oh yeah, my leg's okay, but we really know it's not. And then the guys in the locker room see he's pulling the tape off or whatever every game. There's only so many rubber bands that can hold you together until they snap, right? And we don't want to see that happen, but we have seen the 49ers and the players in by themselves make decisions in those business decisions. Borland, he made it because of the concussions. We've seen Willis because of his toes, his feet. So, Trent can go. Trent's going to go. If he can't go, then I like what you're thinking, and the 1 or 2 year players. I think those are plug and play players. And what we're doing with the draft is we're really doing our due diligence on word of the day, folks. We are doing our best, on picking players that are going to be longevity players for us. So we draft them and then they're going to be stepping in. So if we don't start our rookies right away and they sit for a year or 2 years, and then this other guy, who's, here to make a name for himself so he can go get paid somewhere else, we get this rookie to come in and start playing, and he's playing pretty good. Oh, whoa, who taught this guy, or how does he know that? It's because he's set. So I like it. David, if it was up to me, I'm going to go try to get Brendan Rice. I think he's electrifying. I think he would really change our team, but I don't have to have him. I'd like to have him. McCaffrey would be great. I could see us taking 2 wide receivers in this draft. I would like to see us take a tight end, but because we took tight ends last year, I wouldn't mind seeing us take a tight end 7th or 6th round. Rolling the dice on it and seeing what happens. I think everybody who's been here before has heard me say Devin Culp. My cousin, no relation, just like to say he's my cousin, but I think he would be really good for our team. If you've seen any of his highlights, and I don't know if I've asked you about him, David, if you've actually seen his highlights, but he's a really good catch, tight end. He can really catch, and he gets open. So, I know people are always saying, I want a basketball player. When I see him like more like a basketball player a little bit, like that tight end that's a little bit more elusive where he can jump around and stuff. So where we got Kittle and he's really big and he can run people over, this might be more of our guy that can get open. And honestly, I'm not trying to tell anybody to change positions here, but why wouldn't we move somebody like Jennings over to tight end? There's a lot of positions that we've have on our team. Even somebody like Juice, he could be a tight end. So if we need it, I don't see why we don't just maneuver it. But again, going back to the thoughts of you got a player, you draft him, you sit him for maybe a year or two, and then you start him, and he's a really good player, and you move off of these players. You take a couple free agents every year, 1 or 2 year picks, and they're on the team for a couple years, and then they go somewhere else and get paid. Folks, I hope you don't think we are advocating for Mr. Brandon Ayuk to be traded anywhere. I hope they make the deal and get everything done, and everything can be just, nice and pretty sunset, a happy ending, and the Niners host Lombardi. But at the end of the day, we have no decisions on what happens in the contract room, the office, what they do with the dotted lines and how they, if it's blue or red pen, I don't know. David, I just hope it's going to be a great draft. So, folks, if you haven't heard, me and David and Kenny will be drafting on the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Hope to see you guys pop in. We might have some friends that might join along. We might have a couple call-ins. We might have a couple people that might come and hang out for a little while, and but please join us. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have a lot of notes on the draft. So when players are brought in, we can talk a little bit about their highlights and, oh yeah, this is a good reason he's, and look out for this and pay attention to this, because that's what we're going to try to do for everybody. And until then, we will have a great show Monday and Wednesday. David, you'll be doing the trivia. The trivia show's changed a little bit, folks, so tune in for that. There's a lot of great updates to that. And yeah, David, man, thank you again. Folks, if you didn't hear, I hit 200. I think this is 201, maybe 201. So a lot of fun on YouTube and a lot of great memories. David, thank you again for being a great co-host. So folks, please like and subscribe to both channels. We do a lot of great work, a lot of great things together. And I'm looking forward to, hopefully, Tommy, we need to get you on. And seeing that Tommy had a gig the other night in Sacramento. Little bummed right now that we didn't get the notifications close enough to drive up there. Maybe Tony and me could have had the kids watched, by the grandparents, and got to see the great Tommy Huxley play live. So we are going to keep pushing Tommy. We'd like to get Tommy on some Friday night, so maybe he can do a, jam session for everybody as well. But folks, thank you for your support. David, thank you. And is there anything else that you'd like to say before we head on out and have a great Sunday?
Well, don't forget to tune in Niners Coast to Coast on the Stay Faithful podcast that's on Ty's channel tomorrow. And then, 49er Trivia Wednesday, and then comes the Draft Marathon Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So I'm honestly looking forward to it. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, right?
No, it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Folks, thank you very much. And turn the notifications on, or if you're following us on any social media, if you don't see us, shoot a message, say, hey, what's going on? Chat's a little bit more lively when you're around, and we appreciate you. And with that, folks, have a great Sunday. Enjoy a cup of coffee or what you got going on, and we will see you. Go Niners.
Go Niners.